What's going on, my people? E-Buck in the building. And I am ready to get up in them folks' business. It's the Up in Them Folks Business Podshow. And I am here to talk to y'all about what's going on with some of the folks out there in that world we know as Hollywood and such. Okay. Now, as you know, and if you don't know, what rock have you been under the last 72 hours? There is the interview that has broken all internet as we know it, okay? It's been talked about, it's being talked about, and we about to talk about it some more right here and right now. Who, of course, am I talking about? I'm talking about the guest of the recent Club Shay Shay podcast. That would be one Mr. Cat Williams. That picture, even that picture in and of itself, has become iconic. I don't know how many of you have used this picture in a various amounts of memes in the last 48 hours. It's just insane, okay? It is insane, okay? Now, we're going to sit here and talk about this whole thing. Feel free to chime in with your comments. Not only are they encouraged, we are asking for them. Good, bad, or otherwise, about what you thought about the interview, what was said, what wasn't said. We want to hear it all from y'all. I'm going to tell y'all how I feel on this end, okay? First and foremost, I have been following Mr. Shannon Sharp's podcast, that being Club Shay Shay, for the last several months now. He's had several good interviews, okay? Obviously, none of them tops what happened here. Now, when I first saw it, which was later on in the evening, a couple of days ago, I got through maybe the first 30 minutes, and I spent most of that time like this. When I say Cat Williams went scorched earth on damn near any other person in Hollywood that told comedic jokes that was black, it seemed that way in the first 30 minutes, okay? When he went on there and said he was coming to tell the truth, he was coming to tell the truth, all right? Now, of course, there are some people, as we had this conversation, y'all gonna say you didn't like Cat Williams before and you really don't like him now. First and foremost, I think it's very apparent. If you feel that way about Cat Williams to his face, he could give less than two damns, okay? He don't care what you think. He don't too much care what anybody think. You cannot truly care about those opinions if you came on and said some of the stuff that you said. And we got Big Meech checking in. Hey, we are going to cover this as well on Dish and Tea with Big Meech tonight. I am so glad you said that. And after this, I will be all but happy to join you as well, my friend. That's actually part of why I chose to do this now, in the thoughts that you would actually be talking about it. I can't wait to hear your take on it as well. And I will be all but happy to join you there as well if you would so have me, my friend. That is Big Meech from Dish and Tea with Big Meech tonight. Please make sure y'all check it out after this broadcast. He gonna tell y'all some things because I'm sure he got a little inside information that I probably don't have. Seeing that Big Meech is much better connected Hollywood-wise than just good old E-Buck. But that being said, let's get into the interview. And Meech is saying, come on in. I share, my brother, I share. Now look, people. Check this out. First and foremost, if you are not familiar with the work or stylings of Cat Williams, this probably was a big shock to your immune system, okay? A lot of the stuff that he said, the way it was said, did not come as that much of a shock to me because I'm familiar with his work. When he tells you he has 12 comedy specials out here, been out here for the last decade or so, they are definitely out there. You can find them pretty much anywhere on the internet, okay? He has been doing this thing for quite some time. And the thing that's probably going to be lost on many of the people that are not going to watch the full interview is that Cat is a whole person out here, okay? It was not just about what he said about some of y'all favorite actors and actresses. It is also about him giving you some of his backstory, something that he has not done in a lot of interviews over the years. I am so thankful that Shannon allowed Cat to be Cat in that space. Now, let me address a few things that I have seen that some of you have said. First and foremost, people, you see I posted, and I went with this picture purposely so. Now, if you watch the interview, you notice that in the first 15 minutes, Cat has had several sips of the cognac that is basically sold out now because one, either y'all trying to support your boy Uncle Shay Shay, or two, you wondering, okay, if that liquor make you tell the truth like that, I got to get me a hold of that there. That cognac must be something different. Might be a little bit of both. Who knows? Y'all know I don't drink no more, but nonetheless, if I did, I definitely think I had to check that on out. But anyway, when that man was telling his truth, trust and believe, friends, he was just keeping it real. That brother wasn't just drunk talking mess. That is not how Cat Williams does business, okay? It's probably been some of his specials where he had more to drink beforehand than he did on Club Shay Shay. Let me say that first and foremost. Second of all, a lot of y'all talked about how Shannon basically didn't press him on a lot of stuff. That's not how Shannon does his interviews, okay? Understand, one of the reasons that Cat came on the show, and he said it several times, if he was truly paying attention, is because Shannon has made it a safe space for people to express how they really feel. And he allows his guests to do that in a way that other interviewers don't do quite as much. There are other podcasts that do some similar types of things. I think of the Up and Smoke podcast for one. Shout out to those brothers, Mr. Burns and your boy Steven Jackson. They have a pretty good podcast also. The thing is, people, I really like the fact that Shannon was like, okay, this dude going there, let him go. Let him go. Because I don't think you get nearly as much of the material that he got from that interview if you constantly interjecting this question, that question, asking follow-ups and what have you. It just would not have been the same, okay? Secondly, as a person who has interviewed people for a living for cash money, I very much appreciate how that interview was conducted, okay? The fact that it was set in a way to where Cat is being allowed to spit his venom, his fire, but in the same token, you have enough questions to kind of steer it in other directions as well, so it don't just come off as Cat just being angry black dude for 2 hours and 46 minutes. And yes, that interview was that long. It probably was longer. Shannon said he did not really cut into it that much. Understand the way these things are set up. I'm sure bits and pieces might have been kind of diced and sliced, but for the most part, you got uninterrupted, unadulterated Cat as it was, knowing that he had to sign off on that. And shout out to Shannon, because understand, you done gave this interview weeks ago, and you knew it was this. And you had to sit on that until you was ready to put it out. Do you know how hard that must have been for that brother? Knowing he had that type of atomic bomb lava set up for the people to hear. People was telling him that had seen it before it went on. This about to break the internet, bro. This about to be out of hand. He knew it. The people that was there knew it. If I had been there before all this came out, I definitely would have knew it too. Because Cat came out and said some things that were not just controversial. They was just, what? For real? I don't believe you just said that. It was so much of that in that interview, particularly in that first hour of the interview. It was insane, okay? That being said, do understand, based on the background of one Cat Williams, you're not familiar. Because Cat, if nothing else, is definitely not stupid. I think we established that in the interview, did we not? Child genius. Read fluently since 3 years of age. IQ over 160. Member of Mensa since the age of, I believe, 13, 14. Not a dummy on any stretch. So when you understand that he went on there and said what he said, he is fully aware of what he is saying, and more so why he is saying what he is saying. Part of it was just, I'm tired of them lying on me. Let me tell this the way it need to be told. Part of it was, oh, y'all want to say some things. I'm going to say some more things. Part of it was, look here, people. I understand you think this went this way, and you think Cat Williams is like this because it is, but let me explain what it really is. Why this is set up the way it's really set up. And I'm really hoping that before you sit there and judge that man based on the clips you will see, because Lord knows this is a clip world, and most of y'all will just see the little TikTok bites of it and the little Instagram 5-minute snippets of it. I highly encourage, like, over the 17 plus million people who have watched at least a portion of that interview on Shay Shay's platform in the last 72 hours, to go watch the entire interview for yourself before you make any full judgments, okay? Granted, it may take you a while. I finally finished watching it minutes before the show started today, okay? It took me that long because I really wanted to sit down and analyze and see the whole thing in its entirety before I commented on it. Otherwise, I would have came on last night and talked about it. Another thing is, what made it even more interesting to me is that last night, Shannon went on his other podcast, which is known as, what's the name of that thing again? The Nightcap, with him and Chad Ochocinco Johnson. That came on last night, and they did a live, and it was 50K in the live, but they were discussing the whole interview, how it went about, what his thoughts was, what was going on in the process, and what have you. Now, some of y'all feel like Shannon should have been like, look, man, I'm cool with A, B, C, D. Why you saying these things about my friends? Okay? Understand that I'm sure Shannon was thinking that to a small degree, but in the same token, it's an interview. You have asked this man to come to your space and speak his truth. Allow him to do that. And understand the way that Cat laid out many of those things he said. A lot of the things he said could definitely be fact-checked. And trust and believe, ever since that interview, everybody, particularly some of the people that he mentioned by name, have definitely came out and said certain things in regards to what he has said. Also understand that out of those that I've seen thus far, of the responses from some of those people, I don't see too many people saying he lied about any of it. And based on what I know, most of what he says sound like not only his truth, but the truth. The real deal Holyfield, the 100, okay? I'm hard-pressed to find it to be any different than what he has said about much of it. We know Hollywood, much like politics, is a dirty game, okay? We know that Hollywood does have its favorites when it comes to certain actors and actresses and productions. We know this to be fact. If you don't know it, you ain't paying good enough attention. We also know that Cat Williams has been maligned for many years by several folks. It's very well documented his beef with Kevin Hart. So him saying bad stuff about Kevin Hart, that should come as no shock to anybody. Understand, Kevin Hart don't like that brother, and that brother don't like Kevin Hart. And it is what it is. They have issue with each other. They have for quite some time. They will continue to do so. Him and Faison Love clearly have issue with each other. Been like that for a minute. Should come as no surprise to nobody. Some of the other names that he mentioned, it might be a little shocking. Not so much to Steve Harvey, because for those of you who are here in Detroit and know about the comedy beatdown, whatever they called that back in the day between him and Steve Harvey, y'all know what happened that night. Y'all know how it is. Y'all remember the aftermath of all of that, if you remember. If not, I'm sure you could find that somewhere on the internet. You also know about some of his issues with him and Michael Blackston and the wilding out and all that stuff. None of that should come as a surprise to anyone. So a lot of it wasn't like new information. It was just more detailed information based on some of the other. Now, clearly, that brother got an issue with Ricky Smiley. He really didn't like that. I think he talked on him more than anybody, him and Said the Entertainer, who again has came out and said certain things, but never said that Cat lied. He didn't say he did not take the joke. And understand, a lot of things that Cat laid out, we can always go back and fact check and look at that Comic View and see if it's on there. Like he said, I don't see why you would go out your way to say that and you know it's not on there. That just wouldn't be smart. Not at all. I myself, not only as just a person that is an interviewer himself, but a person that likes podcasts and interviews, thoroughly enjoyed that episode of Shannon's podcast. And I've enjoyed some of the other ones with some of the other folks as well. Now, understand, just because Cat Williams said what he said in the interview don't mean that all of a sudden, okay, well, damn it, that's it. I'm not messing with Steve Harvey, Cedric Entertainer, Ricky Smiley. They still funny as hell to me. I'm still going to watch them. I'm still going to support the things that they do. I don't think that was his intention in that, in him speaking his truth. I think he wanted to gain you some understanding of what really transpired with it, okay? Some of y'all feel like Cat Williams is this and that based on the little snippets you've seen on TMZ and this and that, not knowing his whole story. So I really hope, again, in listening to the whole interview, you gain some perspective. A lot of good things was said in that interview by Cat Williams. You learned a lot of good things about him. For one, he is very supportive of people in the comedy space. Not necessarily some of your favorites, like your Tiffany Haddis's and whatnot, but there are some people in the comedy world that speak extremely highly of Cat and probably will continue to do so. Him and Lunell are like these, okay? They real tight. Melanie Camacho, Red Grant, some of his people that he done brought on tour for years and years, okay? I want to show y'all something right here. I don't think you're going to be able to see it fully, but this young man is a comedian. His name is Richard Redding. I seen this and fact-checked it to be true to as far as I know. Now, because I know y'all can't really read that like that, allow me to go back through here and read it for you, okay? And then we'll discuss. Okay, according to this says, and this is from Rich Readings, I believe this is his X page. Years ago, I got a last-minute call to open up for Cat in Philly. He wasn't there yet when I went on. It was one of the best sets of my life, and at that point, I was bummed because he wasn't there to see it. On my way to the dressing room, a dude in a fur coat stepped out of the shadows and said, "Young man, that was absolutely stupendous." He shook my hand, and with a wad of cash, what felt like way more than the show pay, I was told, I played it cool. Thank him, but I really needed some money at that point. Turned out the money was 5 times more than the show pay. As he walked away, he said, "I have you on the road, and that's my word." I got a call the next month and did 160 shows with him over the next 3 years, and it was all love. So what I'm saying is talk your ish, Cat. Talk your ish. But of course, he didn't say ish. He said the other word. And I'll try to refrain from too much of the profanity. But anyway, you get my point. Understand, you seen that picture, okay? That's that guy. Not African American, okay? So some of y'all who may take a couple comments and make it seem like Cat just real racist about certain stuff. Oh no, quite the contrary. Listen to some of the backstory that was discussed in the interview, where he talks about how he got his first really good break going on the tour with people of the likes of Jeff Foxworthy and Larry the Cable Guy and Brown White. He was on tour with those guys after winning a contest in Oklahoma, I believe it was. And that's how he really got started, and it went on from there. Just some of the things that was said in that interview, it was really enlightening. I really hope in the days to come that people shine a light on some of those as well. The fact that he has went out his way to help people, and a lot of people don't know about some of the things he's done. Okay? In an ideal world, if I'm able, at times when I'm able, I've done stuff for people in the past, and it's not for me to say, okay, I did this and that. because you don't do it for those reasons. You do it out the kindness of this right here, if you able. And that man has done that over the years. There are those stories that's out there in the underlying cities and whatnot. You also learn that Cat is very, very, very pro-woman. I think you mentioned that on several parts of that episode. He is very pro-woman. So much so that most of the people in his employ are women, and purposely so. I'm not mad at that at all, because in the ideal world, if I had it like that, most of the people that would work with me would be women as well. Okay? Imagine how much better this situation in the country would be if a woman was running the country right now. Yeah, I said it. I said it. He said it too. He said a lot of things like that in the course of the interview, okay? And all of it wasn't bad. All of it wasn't flaming hot lava spitting on people. Now, some of you will see that and be like, Cat was bitter. Cat is bitter. Ain't no doubt about that. Now, let's not overcoat that and sugarcoat that. Some of that is straight up bitter because he been wronged by folks, okay? He been did dirty, all right? It is very apparent. And he feels some type of way about some of it. But some of it was just simply, okay, I feel like you should know. If you look at some of his comedy specials and look at some of the topics that he brings up, some of the people he have brought up, he will tell you his straight up opinion based on either his firsthand knowledge or based on what he feels. And as a person who is an intellectual individual, you get a very intellectual response to it in a comedic way oftentimes, but very much so. These are well thought out things that he has discussed about people such as Michael Jackson and R. Kelly and whatnot. Remember, some of these folks he discussed were his friends. He talked about his relationship with Prince and how they were friends. I'm not surprised at all that the two of them were friends with each other. Makes complete and total sense. Also, he talked about his relationship with people like Mark Curry. And that's one of the things I'm really loving about some of the response to this interview, and I'm going to get into that more so in a minute. Some of the people he brought up and made sure that he was giving them their flowers. And as a result of that, other people are now coming out to get them flowers. One of them, the main person I think that comes off extremely well in this, that's still alive, is Mark Curry. He seemed to have a great respect for Mark Curry and what he has done as a comedian. So there's that. He did not just basically eviscerate everybody that came out his mouth, okay? Some people he actually gave their kudos and their respect to, and rightfully so. Again, I feel like there are definitely some big winners, a couple losers, but more winners than losers in this whole interview. Let's break it down, shall we? Let's talk about it. First of all, Shannon Sharpe definitely comes off as a winner in this interview because in the end, his show, Club Shay Shay, was already doing decent numbers. He already had several episodes that 2 and 3 and 4 million people watched. After this episode here, is definitely, at least for the next, I say 90 days, are going to be interviews people are definitely going to be paying attention to, okay? They are going to be watching them big time. Now, before I move on, I do want to check, because we are live on IG, and see if anybody on IG has jumped in and commented. Let's see. Not so far. Okay, cool. Back to us. People. Shannon Sharpe has been through his share of things in the last couple of years. For those of you familiar with the football player, now interviewer, sports entertainment person, sports personality, if you will, and what went on the last couple of years with his situation with First Take that he's on now, and of course, Undisputed before him and Skip Bayless, and how that situation played out for him. He is definitely winning right now, okay? After all that has happened, for this to happen with him now, and for him to get this type of light and thus a good way, it's such a great thing. Remember, this is a young man, grew up in Savannah, Georgia, went to a HBCU, was a 7th round pick in the NFL, called and fought his way to a Pro Bowl and then eventually Hall of Fame career as a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Broncos and the Ravens, and now doing extremely well in the media space, named the #1 media person. I forget exactly what the publication was, but he was named #1 media person of 2023. And this is only a carryover from that. This is definitely going to bode well for him, not only in that space that is Club Shay Shay, but in his other endeavors as well. Not to mention the fact that based on the type of response that people are giving, the eyes that's looking on Club Shay Shay right now, just imagine some of the people that he could possibly get to come on the show and talk about what they need to talk about. Last night when he did his other podcast and talked about some of the people he would like to have on from this point forward, it's some of the biggest people on planet Earth, basically. He wants to do Oprah. He wants to have President Obama on. He wants to have Denzel Washington. I imagine some of those people will actually come on his show sometime this year, and it will be big. And it will be in his very best interest to let them play it out the way the cat did. Just basically put the questions out there and let them say they piece, man. Let them talk about what they need to talk about. Because I really feel like that is the space that he has created, and he needs to keep it that way for it to really thrive. Okay? As a person who's a podcaster, but definitely not a hater, I am very proud for him. Understand I call him Shannon or Shay Shay. Most people call him Uncle Shay Shay out of respect. Understand I don't do that because me and Shannon about the same age, damn near. It's hard for me to call somebody Unc, and they about the same age, a little bit younger than me. Though a lot of people call me Unc, and I'm cool with it. I take it as a sign of respect, and I thank you. But anyway, the thing is, good people, Shannon definitely comes out a winner in this. Biggest winner in this, amazing enough, yes, is Cat Williams. Think about it. People know who Cat Williams was before this interview, no doubt about that. But after this interview, even more so. If you have never knew who Cat Williams was up until the last couple of days, how about now? How about now? And if you don't know that much, I'm sure you're going to do your share of digging from this point on. Think about some of the other people that win. Netflix definitely wins because guess what? One, most of those specials that he's talking about that he's made, they are on Netflix right now. And I promise you, by the end of the weekend, if you go to that Netflix top 10, I bet you 2 or 3 of those specials are going to be in that top 10. I'm almost 90% certain of that. Also, remember, you got a new Netflix special coming out in May. If you weren't going to watch it before, I bet you're going to watch it now. Can't wait for that boy to come out, I bet. And you better believe if he got any good sense, and clearly that man does, he going to mention some of the stuff, if he haven't already, if it ain't already been shot before all this, about some of the people that he talked about. That would just only be smart. Not to mention he's going on a tour starting, I believe it may already have started. He'll be in Detroit. It'll be sold out. He'll probably do a second show. Guess what? It'll be sold out too. Not just because he Cat Williams and Detroit Smurf with him like that, but because he Cat Williams, Detroit Smurf with him like that, and he didn't say it all he didn't say. Okay? There's that. Anything Cat Williams has been in, any movies, any other interviews, any TV show, that episode of the Boondocks, all that gonna get extra views in these next few weeks for Cat Williams, okay? When we look back on the year 2024 and they're gonna talk about the top Google search stuff, I'm pretty sure Cat Williams is going to be in that top 10, and we ain't even but 5 days into January. I'm almost certain of that, okay? And in the end, if you are doing things for likes, as Luda said in his rap, shout out to Ludacris, definitely benefited from his name getting threw up in the mix. Then yeah, he got a whole bunch of them. Because if you ain't watching that episode of Club Shay Shay, you watching some of the other episodes that he talked about on Club Shay Shay from what the other people said. Or you watching some of the other things that Shannon doing on his other podcast. You're probably gonna watch First Take Monday to see if they mention anything about it. He say anything about it then. That part. Also, even though some of the things he said about the people he talked about were very not flattery at all. Some of them he basically eviscerated. He used that word several times. Though you don't know what the word eviscerate means, basically means that he tried to destroy them to the point where they no longer exist on the face of the earth. That part. What up, EZ? What's going on, Big Joe? Just talking about your guy, Cat Williams. That's what we talking about. But good people, these people that he talked about, they too will benefit from this discussion. What's going on, Tracy? My guy, Happy New Year, my mans. No Lies Detective, says Big Joe. And again, as I pointed out earlier in this broadcast, many of the things he said, you definitely can go back and fact check. From what I know of many of the things he said, he ain't lying. Some of these same people, like I said, some of the people whose names came up in the interview, they done came out since this time and spoke their 2 cents about it. We done heard from Ice Cube today. We done heard from Luda. We done heard from Senator Entertainer. We done heard from several of them. And you already know Steve Harvey got a morning show. I'm pretty sure he'll discuss it at some point if he haven't already. Understand a lot of those people are on hiatus till Monday. So yeah, I definitely listening to the morning talk shows on Monday on the radio. Steve Harvey Morning Show, Breakfast Club. Who else? Wake Up with Angela Yee, Hollywood Unlocked. I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of them have stuff to say. I mean, Dish Nation talked about it last night on their show. They finally mentioned it on TMZ. I'm finding it real interesting that TMZ kind of waited a couple of days before they talked about that thing. That was interesting. But anyway, a lot of stuff he said not only made sense, but it sounded like the truth to me. And again, because many people's names got brought up in it, those people at some point will be asked about it or will feel compelled to be asked about it. At one point, Shannon said, "You man, you're making it to where ain't no comedian gonna want to come on here ever again." And Kat was like, "Oh no, they'll definitely be on here now because they're gonna want to speak their piece." And I totally agree with that. And if Shannon got any good sense, and I know he does, he will allow that to transpire. Because some people gonna feel like they got some explaining to do. Bring them on. And make sure that you advertise it when you do. Because you know Steve Harvey or Sid or Ricky Smiley come back on there this year, we definitely gonna be watching. Tracy is saying, Cat wasn't lying. We've all been through similar situations. Hey, and I know you understand that, my brother, just based on a couple conversations we done had over the years. I completely get it, and I know you get it. I know you do. And like I said, based on what I know and what I've seen, it's a couple things he probably embellished on. When he talked about the reading of the 3,000 books a day, that was a bit, well, not a day, but a year, that was a bit much. You got to do the math on that one. Let's do the quick math. Basically, 3,000 books a year, that's like about 200 books a month and some change. It's in the realm of possibility, but highly unlikely. That being said, I think he has read quite a bit. He is well read. If you notice, just based on some of the things that he quoted in this interview, you can tell that he is very well read, not just on the Bible, but on other religions. He's also well read in terms of quotations and philosophy and whatnot. A lot of those things have came into play in that interview, not to mention some of his many specials. The dude is definitely not an idiot, okay? I think at one point he actually said he had a photographic memory. That would put him kind of similar to, I'm pretty sure that y'all familiar with the character Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory, that he had the eidetic memory where basically everything that he's ever read, he's remembered. word for word, if he basically has that type of memory where you remember everything all day, every day, very few people have that. I don't know if I would want that per se. That'd probably be a gift and a curse. But yeah, if he got it like that, then yeah, it's deep. He still threw some jokes to keep. Absolutely. That was the brilliance of it, Tracy. That's what made it even more of a great interview. The fact that he realized that he was doing things and saying things, but in the same token, it was an interview. He did it not only to speak his truth, but also to help his boy. Because him and Shannon is cool. That is very apparent, okay? Shannon has definitely done other interviews in the past, a couple of which they talked about on the show, and they didn't go quite so well, okay? Because well, I mean Cat. I think I said Shannon, but I meant Cat. Yeah, some of those interviews that Cat did, particularly the one with Wanda Smith that they talked about, that one went left real quick. However, it was riddles with the truth. It was genius. At times, I very much felt so. It was, understand, when he was asked a lot of the questions, if you notice, he usually would take that pause and then kind of speak about it. I feel like wise people oftentimes do that when they talk, okay? More times than not, when people have discussions, they're quick to run off the first thing that pop in their head, not thinking that maybe I shouldn't say that or maybe I should say that differently. I think he purposely at times took that pause to craft what he was saying so that not only the audience would understand, but in the same token, he didn't say too much or he said just enough for you to get it. For all the things he said in that interview, like Shannon said in his post interview last night, that thing could have went on for hours and hours still. And I honestly felt like Shannon, unless you was tired that day, you should have went there. You should have went there for as long as he was willing to talk. Because keep in mind, you have a gold mine with that interview right there. Let's just say it ended up being 4 hours instead of the 2 hours 46. You could have definitely cut that thing into 2 or 3 interviews and played it over the course of that month, and you could have hit the jackpot, brother. People would definitely have tuned in for part 2 and part 3. Okay? Just like with the whole situation with Mr. Epstein, where we know a few of the names that they came out. We all wait to see who else name get through in that mix. And they ain't got nothing to do with this, per se, even though that got mentioned in the interview to a small degree. He was definitely relatable on many levels. Mark Curry reveals how Steve Harvey stole his entire career. Oh, yeah. Like I said, y'all know I always encourage y'all to do your research, people. Do your research. A lot of these things that Kat talked about last night, it's out there for public consumption. Go on YouTube. I saw that interview today with Mark Curry that Joseph is talking about. Mark Curry reveals how Steve Harvey stole his entire career. I mean, think about it. Understand, I was definitely a fan of the Steve Harvey show. I was also a fan of hanging with Mr. Cooper. If you watch the 2 shows, there are some similarities in that thing. If you watch some of the early Mark Curry and some of Steve Harvey, yeah, I can see some of what Mark Curry is talking about. And Steve Harvey is not the only person to steal from Mark Curry, by the way. Mark Curry, brilliant, all right? I say some of Martin is stole from Mark Curry, to be honest. That part. But good people. I really, really, really enjoyed this interview, okay? If more people were willing to go on the record and say how they really felt about some of the people in their space to the degree that Cat Williams did, I think this would be a better place, planet Earth. And how Steve knocked Bernie during Ocean, yeah, basically how he wanted that role and whatnot. Understand, one of the great things about the interview that I really liked was how Cat was giving Bernie all his flowers, okay? He definitely comes out as one of the winners in this interview also, because a lot of people are going to go back and watch a lot of Bernie Mac and some of the interviews he's done and definitely Bernie Mac show, some of Bernie Mac's movies, the movie 300, the baseball movie he did, love that movie. Okay, one of my favorites. It's episodes of the Bernie Mac show, hilarious. Highly recommend that if you have, I believe it's either on Hulu, it might be on Netflix. It's on one of them too. If not, check Tubi. Damn near everything on Tubi these days. And you can go back and watch the episodes of the Bernie Mac show. Very, very good sitcom. Okay? Imagine if he could have done it in this day and age on the streaming platform, much like how Netflix got not the Crenshaws, the Upshaws. If Bernie Mac could have did it on that platform and did it the way he really, really wanted to do it and truly be Bernie Mac, imagine how much funnier it would have been then. That part. Joe says, I agree with you. Right on, Big Joe. So, yeah, people like that definitely come off as winners in that interview because they got their flaws. And again, there's some people, he clowned them on one hand, but gave them their flaws on the other hand. I go to comedian Earthquake, who, if you guys, those who know me, know I love me some Nathaniel Strong. That is Earthquake's actual name, by the way. He at one point said, yeah, the reason why they did Earthquake the way he did is because he's illiterate and can't read. But in the same token, said later on in the interview that he is very funny and he is definitely good at what he does, and he really is. I highly recommend you go back and watch some of his specials. Earthquake is hilarious. I mean, it's a reason why they call him Earthquake. You should even learn that story. That's a good story. Tracy said, see how he told they saw Bernie as ugly but couldn't stop him because he was so talented, and he really was. Yeah, he said, yeah, you can find it on Netflix. Right on. I mean, he really was. He was a very good comedian. He was a good actor. He really was. I mean, think about, okay, let's go for a perfect example. What's the name of that movie? Above the Rim. Remember his role in Above the Rim? Y'all remember that? Damn good acting job in that. He was funny. Y'all remember him from Friday, of course. You remember, oh, how could you forget his role as Uncle Vesta in House Party 3? They don't like you for being yourself. Well, I'm crazy on and crazy glue in the mix. That's what you do. Cat said the word range. Yes, he definitely had range. Just as obviously Cat has range. Remember, Cat is not just a comedian. He is an Emmy Award winning comedian at that. I want to say he got a Grammy as well for one of his comedy specials. I want to say, I'm not sure about that. I'm kind of sure. Tracy saying Above the Rim is a classic. Absolutely. Love that movie as well. But yeah, definitely winners. I'm going to be honest. Kevin Hart is a winner in this, okay? Because you know, people are going to go back and watch some of the things that Kevin has done and look into some of the things he done said in regards to Cat Williams. Keep in mind, he pretty much goes out of his way not to really discuss Cat that much. We know that they don't like each other. That's been well established. But I think it's very much like Cat says, when they are in that same space, the rare time that they are, Kevin go his way and Cat go his way. I do know at one point Nick Cannon tried to get the two of them together in Kumbaya, and that didn't happen. There's that. Then also remember, Cat Williams is cool with some people that people don't like. Yes, Cat did absolutely win the Emmy for his work in the television show Atlanta. That's correct. As the deranged uncle, I believe it was. But yeah, he discussed people like Minister Farrakhan. Y'all know a lot of people, if you don't know about the Honorable Farrakhan, you feel some type of way. You feel he is, I don't know how some of y'all feel. I just feel like you need to hear more of what he has to say for you to go there with him. He talked about Suge Knight and his friendship with him. You know, a lot of y'all don't view Suge in a good light. But them two is cool. And I ain't mad at it. He is, there's one other person I can't think of at the moment. But then, of course, he had bad things to say about Chris Tucker and that. But, you know, he actually cool with the 85 South Show people. DC Young Flies and Carlos Millers and whatnot. They are good people. They are good friends with one another. So he had good things to say about some of them. I really liked his comments that he made about the younger comedians. He said he likes a lot of the younger comedians that's out right now. He gave them their flowers. He definitely made sure he named people such as Desi Banks and Country Wayne and Just Hilarious. He basically put their names out there for public consumption. So I'm sure a lot of you might go back and look at some of those things with some of the stuff that they have done. Country Wayne special wasn't bad. It's on Netflix right now. Check it out. And I do believe Just Hilarious got a special coming out. And I know Desi Banks got one coming out this year. So make sure y'all look out for those. So for those people that have went out their way to say, yeah, Cat was wrong because he put our people in a bad light and he got people looking at them some type of way and whatnot. No, he didn't do that for all the people. And even the people that he put in a bad light, he still made you wonder, okay, what exactly is he talking about? You know you're about to go watch First Sunday and see what he's talking about with your boy in the dress and what have you. You know you're going to go back and watch Martin Lawrence. Remember when he talked about how he was supposed to have the role opposite of Martin Lawrence in that second Big Mama's House movie. And he was like, no, I ain't wearing no damn dress. You wasn't having it. And I completely believed it to be true. Okay? I promise you, if a lot of the stuff he said was lies, within that first 24 hours, people would have been on this talk show, that talk show, this Facebook, this Instagram, and went there and would have had the receipts, okay? Ice Cube went on and did the opposite. He basically told it, look, Cat got it mostly right. You know, they did kind of offer that role to Ricky Smiley. He just wasn't good at it like Cat would. That's why Cat got the role. And Cat, no, he didn't write the role per se. It did exist, but Cat rewrote the role because he one that brought life to it. And he made it so good that it ended up being a larger role in the movie. Friday After Next is not nearly as funny without Money Mike. Let's be real about that, okay? That's the truth. Cat and Dave Chappelle are two of my favorites, and both of them are brilliant in their own way, okay? Just like a lot of people going off on Dave Chappelle. And again, I have not even seen the latest special on Netflix. I'll watch that this weekend, but I already know it's going to be brilliant just like anything else I've seen that he's done. And again, it'll be those 2 or 3 things that he said in the special that people are going to gravitate to without listening to the whole thing. Dave is brilliant in that he will set up the whole scenario from the beginning to the end. And it's meant to be watched that way. If you only look at the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to miss out on a lot if in the end he didn't explain it all. That's how he does things. Cat is very much like that in some of his comedy specials. You got to watch the whole thing. You know, we are soundbite society at times, okay? Even in the craziness that is DT, he'll sometimes say some things and unfairly is turned on based on that soundbite when he actually did kind of clear some of it up later on in the speech. That being said, he's still a few fries and a toy short of crazy in my mind. But in the same token, I get it. So when he talks fake news, not necessarily fake news all the time, just not the whole news, just partial news when it comes to some of what he had to say. And that's one of the rare times you will ever hear me defend DT, ever. Both are genius in their own right, says Tracy. Agreed. People skipped over the fact that Cat would not let them add a rape scene in the comedy. And yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, Big Joe. I definitely like what he had to say about that. And again, for those of you making the little clips and the TikToks, please make sure y'all make one of that and what he talked about, what he felt about that particular scene. Because again, that wouldn't have been funny. I absolutely agree with Cat. If that part of the movie went that way, no, that would have sent the comedy in a whole different direction that we wouldn't have liked at all. The fact that it got dealt with the way it got dealt with, that made it one of the funniest scenes in the movie. The fact that not only did he not get raped, but the way in which he saved himself, hilarious, okay? And a pimp named Slickback, genius. especially now that we know it comes from based on real life events. Now, I knew to a partial degree the story of the fact that Cat Williams is kind of pimping a player for real, but I didn't know why and how it came to be. So some of that backstory explains some things that I didn't even know. I definitely learned some things about Cat Williams I did not know, and I consider myself a Cat Williams fan to the fullest. I didn't watch them there all the special. But I definitely learned some things and look on that brother even better now, especially when it came to some of the things he talked about the fact that he adopted the 7 kids. I didn't know they were adopted. I thought them was his kids. And the reason why he adopted was basically because he wanted the family to be together and didn't know those things about his younger brothers and whatnot. Definitely didn't know that he had left the crib when he was 13. Y'all been 13 before. Imagine how scared you would have been if you would have just been like, Smurf it, I'm out, and went somewhere far away from where you live and started all over and worked out to the point where you kept it that way. You ain't go back home for years till you was an adult. Very, 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 very few of us could have pulled that off, okay? Very few. Again, people, I strongly encourage you to watch the entire interview before you make any complete and total judgments. I want to shout out a couple people. Definitely you and Tracy for sure, Joe. But shout out to you, B. B, you know who I'm talking to. I'm going to send you this link if you ain't already watched it. I would love to hear your opinion on this on the air, on your own podcast. You very much can do this thing. There's no doubt in my mind. Anything I could possibly do to help you make your podcast dreams come true, I am here for it. And I want you to make that happen. You could do it, and you will be good at it. I promise you. All right. George saying we'll have to talk about him, Ice-T, Bishop Don Juan from Chicago, and Snoop. That's why it pays to listen to people they try to say are crazy. There is always more to the story. I promise you, Cat Williams might be a few things. Crazy is not one of them. Speaking of which, I definitely liked his comments about Kanye West for that matter. He does make a very valid point. If we all know that brother has some type of mental issue that he is contending with, why do we take everything he says and does as gospel when we know clearly that brother is not in his full right mind at times? That he's struggling with those medications and taking them and not taking them. And trust me, as a person that takes medications every day for a living now, I understand that to a degree. Someday you don't know how you're going to feel from day to day. So knowing he takes medications that's much stronger than mine, I can only imagine what that feel like. Kanye far from stupid. You might call Kanye a lot of things, but stupid ain't one of them either. You definitely, I'm not saying we should just forgive everything that Kanye has said and done. I ain't going that far. But you do got to understand that brother is going through some things. I completely agree with Kat on that. It was many things he said in that interview, many things that Shannon said in that interview that I completely agree. And again, I also want to encourage you to go and watch the nightcap. I believe it was from yesterday when him and Chad talked about the interview and how he got it and the aftermath and all of that. Because I think you will learn some nice little nuggets from that as well. Support that brother. Now, that being said, definitely got some other things to talk about. I wasn't expecting to go on so long about the interview, but again, I really liked it that much and really had a lot of thoughts in regards to that. I know y'all got other thoughts. For those of you who will check this out later on after the fact, feel free to add your comments as well. You know, I always double back and will comment with you guys in regards to what you had to say. We are also live on Instagram right now. Let me check back in with them. No comments on the IG. None at all. Okay, we're gonna repost that one also, so don't worry. Before we go, definitely there's a couple other people whose business I wanted to get into this week as well before we head out. Let me quickly talk about one Brittney Spears. Let me talk about some of her business right quick. It was mentioned today, well not today, but in the last couple of days that a lot of people talked about how Brittney and they were anticipating her coming out with a new album this year. And Brittney flat out came out and said, I'm not doing no new album. I'm not smurfing with the industry no more on that level. I'm done with it. I'm done with the music industry in terms of that. How could you be mad at her based on what she's been through with the conservatorship and whatnot, where basically she was working to keep the money going for the fam and whatnot, and doing the Vegas residency and all that, and clearly it was something that she really didn't want to do. She was coerced big time into doing, was drugged into doing, basically, was literally drugged into doing. That would make what she did not so fun anymore. Imagine if you at work and you got to work and you got to work at something that you no longer enjoy doing. A lot of us kind of live that life, unfortunately. But in the end, if you could afford to not do it no more and still be straight, would you do it? There you have it. Ain't mad at Brittney. If Brittney don't want to sing another note or nothing ever, not that she's the greatest singer in the world, if she just want to just stay on that doggone IG and keep doing her half-naked videos of her dancing all day until she no longer breathes, I'm fine with that. Brittney, live your life, do your thing. You got money coming. In worst case scenario, you can always sell your catalog and make a nice little buck on that. I can see it. That much. That's my 2 cents on that. And then, of course, I want to get into these two people's business right quick. Offset and Cardi B, okay? Offset, Cardi B. Now, as you know, Cardi B, a few weeks ago, right before Christmas, went on and said she had been living her life as single for a while, and she was through with Offset and wasn't trying to be bothered with him, so on and so forth. Some of us took it as, okay, Cardi, about damn time. Some of us took it as, okay, whatever, Cardi. We know how this play out because it has played out like that before. Then, of course, Christmas came, and she decided that she would have Christmas as a family with her and her husband and the kids. Many people do that. I'm pretty sure Nick Cannon spent Christmas with most of his kids, and him and Mariah probably hung out and all that. These things happen, okay? No big deal. Remember, they're not just celebrities, they people. People make them type of decisions all the time. Now, in the process of that, you seen that they started hanging out during the holidays at the strip club, and they went out to eat and some other. And now the stories are reported that they are trying to once again work things out. Now, some of y'all looking at Cardi B like she all type of stupid out here. You done. He gonna do it again. He gonna cheat on you, and he gonna keep doing it because you dummy, you keep taking him back. That might be. But Cardi not done by herself out here. A lot of y'all been in them type of relationships where you didn't dealt with somebody and they did you all type of wrong, and you keep coming back to them. You keep doubling back, spinning the block as they call it and whatnot, knowing that in the end it's probably going to be that. I almost did that myself last year. Shout out to my ex. You know who he is. But in the end, if you know it's going to turn out a certain way, you got to let it alone. You got to let it alone. And I honestly feel like Cardi, no matter what is said and transpired, one of two things will happen. Either one, y'all going to keep going through this pattern until he do you so outlandishly wrong that you're going to have to deal with it. Or two, you're going to finally say, look, this one right here, that was the final straw. This is the last time I'm going to let you have me be out here crazy. Do know, Cardi B, you ain't got to be bothered with that brother not one more day of your life outside of dealing with your children. For real, for real. You was not ugly. You was not dumb. You got your own money. There are many people, if you put it out there for public consumption, I'm single, I'm ready to mingle, your DMs will blow up even more than they probably already do, but you're not being single. You finding a man will not be a problem. Partially plastic, processed body or not. Lord knows, I understand I'm about 20 plus years older than you, but I wouldn't be mad. If you say hello, I'm saying hello back. You feel? I wish you would clown me for wanting to be with Cardi B. But all I'm saying is, We got to remember sometimes these Hollywood people, they are real life people too. They go through the same things that we go through in life, okay? The back and forth and whatnot. Cut them a little slack with this thing. They're really trying to work this out, whether it's for the sake of the kids or whatever the reason may be. If she ding-ding-matized, as some of y'all call it. If that's the case, you got to let it play out, man. It is what it is. It is what it is. I wish them well. Let's see what happens next. So on and so forth. And then for those of y'all that think this is a publicity stunt to set up for her album coming out soon and whatnot, hell, it's Hollywood. It could be. But that's what happened when we up in these folks' business. It's that. All right, good people. I'm about to head on out. Check it out. You probably will check me out a little bit later on tonight on Dishing Tea with Big Meech, because he is going to discuss this and a few other things, and I'm going to go on there and discuss with my brother as well. Who's Big Meech might you have? Let me let y'all see.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meech.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech. It's time to dish tea with Big Meech.
Darling.
That's my brother Big Meech. Please check him out tonight on the air, either on Facebook Live or YouTube Live under Dishing Tea with Big Meech. You will find him and probably find me there as well. We're going to talk about this thing some more. I'm going to get his take on it and whatnot. He always have very interesting insights of his own. Until the next time we get up in these folks' business, it's your boy E-Buck. As you see what the shirt says, always know your self-worth. Clearly, Cat Williams knows his, and we should know ours. If we ain't learned nothing from that interview, let's learn that. Until then, y'all, we've been up in these folks' business, and we about to get up out of it. I will catch y'all on the flip next time. Love y'all. Remember, don't stress, be blessed. Let the Lord deal with the rest. That part right there. And that being said, up with the fingers, and we out.